wherever you are on this pleasant Tuesday afternoon here at the Ministry of Information, Cultural Affairs and Tourism. Today is its regular press briefing
Ladies and gentlemen,
that starts about
on behalf
12.
of the Ministry of Information, Cultural Affairs and Tourism,
So I'd like to welcome
I'd like
you
to thank you for coming.
wherever you're watching from, however you're watching. This is LB Online. We're live here at the Ministry of Information, Cultural Affairs and Tourism.
Of what is happening within the government. I'd like to invite the Minister of Information, Cultural Affairs and Tourism, Jerolinmek Piah. Mr. Piah will address today's press briefing. Mr. Piah.
So we're told that the minister will address today's edition of the regular.
It's good to have all of you here. We have an obligation to ourselves. People did not do that, so we're not able to spend a dime of government money. Everything you see us do here is a result of the relationship we built in the past. We'll not just change the entire building, which will take a little bit of time, but we are focused on changing this environment so that every time you come here, you are much more comfortable. I have some assurances that there will be greater change in here in the very short run. We do not have an extended guest today, but we have a number of things to talk about, very important things. And the first one I want to start with because it is serious in my mind and it has a lot of implications for the country, is what is unfolding for the EPS. The EPS is the Executive Protection Service. It is an elite presidential unit charged with the responsibility of protecting the president and other VRPs that may be designated by the president. Even me, as a minister of government, cannot have an EPS officer assigned to me until it is authorized by the president. When the Salif administration ended, the strength of the EPS was around 400. The new administration started in 2018. Between 2018 to where we are, that strength doubled. And that doubling took the size of the EPS to over 800. When the new administration took over headed by Mr. A, they inherited a situation that they deemed very concerning. Not only that the size of the EPS has doubled, but they were concerned about some of the qualities of the individuals who were within the EPS. They formed out a number of issues. First of all, the law that created the EPS makes the EPS the property of the state. And the requirements for enlistment are clear, and I will name some for you. You must be a Liberian citizen. You must be aged between 18 to 35. You must be a high school graduate or above. And for those who are civilian employees who do not meet those requirements, must possess some technical and specialized skills that are considered beneficial to the EPS. So for example, if you wanted a controller, and the person is not a power security person, they must be determined that their skill will help and will be of benefit to the EPS. They must be effective with background investigation. They must undergo medical examination to determine clean bill of health before training. And then they should undergo 6 months of training at the police academy. These are requirements. So once the new team took over, they, based on the astronomical growth of the EPS, to over 800, they had to determine if all of the enrollments or enlistments were consistent with these requirements. When they checked that, they formed out a number of issues. Among them, there was a good chunk who did not meet that very requirement of being high school graduates. There were some who claimed that they were high school graduates. They presented certificates. Those certificates were investigated, and some were fake. Some also presented white certificates, which foreign investigation were also determined to be fake. Some claim they graduated from certain learning institutions. Contacts with those institutions confirmed that they did not enroll at those entities. So, in the briefing I'm giving you, are not imaginary. I am the spokesperson for the government, and if there are issues involving it, is my responsibility to reach out to the sector to ask them what's going on. Because I have been concerned about anything that's happening in the government. And this explanation I'm giving is not to render judgment. Because anybody who is offended has a recourse. So I've heard some of the EPS officer complain that the dismissal is illegal. They could be right, I don't know. The only people who can determine whether their concerns are correct or incorrect is the court of law. And so they have every right to follow those processes that are laid down to challenge what has happened to them. So what we try to give you on behalf of the government is the account of those in charge of the EPS. So as a result of that, what they have done is to determine that a number of them who did not meet those requirements could not stay further in the EPS. And that number is over 200. I've heard different accounts of 200 people being displaced. But one of the things that was a concern, I believe many of you who are press people saw that, was that there was an appearance of some of the officers at one of our local radio stations. And during that live appearance, one of the person who is supposed to be an EPS person who was affected by this exercise, if you witness that, all of you I guess saw it. He said they were 300, and all the 300 people were armed. They would resist. They would take down people who come in their way. Open threats. The police intervened. There were initial resistance, but they were arrested. They've been in police custody because some of the threats that they made were grave. Here is what the EPS authority said. First of all, EPS officers don't just loosely carry guns. You give them guns, they keep it whether into their house, whatever they eat, wherever they no. Guns are for operational purposes. When you are on operational assignment and you are issued a gun, you don't take a gun away anywhere you go when you're on operational assignment. So for them to claim that they had guns in their hands, the guns remained in their hands and they were displaced, nobody who has common sense will do that. Not more to mention the head of a security group that is responsible for presidential security. And if the action of that very individual I'm talking about on that talk show is the measurement of who an EPS officer should be, then you understand that maybe the director was right. How can somebody who make those kinds of threats be anywhere around a president or any VIP? Security people are trained to be very loyal about it. I know there are some of them who are very trained as such. I saw a group of them who gone to the legislature to raise their case. That's what level-headed people will do. But when you issue public threats, like some of the folks did, then there's a problem. So the EP has said these requirements that are laid down, over 400 people who were enlisted between 2018 to 2023, many of them did not go because the entire requirement for enlistment was suspended. And requirements that are laid down by law for a security group that protects the president and all VIPs cannot be waived, cannot be suspended. So if those were what happened, and others are in charge and they realize that those are the things that happen, of course it is normal that they will begin to take some of the actions they are taking. Notwithstanding, I will repeat again, all of those caught in this situation who feel offended are encouraged to take recourse under the law and not issuing some of the threats that we got from them. Yesterday, something important happened. One of the things we said is that it's a period of rebranding for Liberia. We got to rebrand Liberia for global business. So yesterday we had the SH Vega, which is a British cruise line, coming here. It's not just that a cruise line was coming. That's not the main story. The story is over 150 tourists saw our country as a destination for tourism, and they came here. They came from different countries. Australians, Austrians, Chinese, French, Germans, Greeks, Russians. They're all part of the over 150 15 tourists who came here. I was there along with my team of ministers to welcome them to our country. They were made to disembark. They went to Providence Island. They went to our museum. They went up Duco. They ended in a very festive situation at the Unification Park, where people selling different products, culture and others, were. And the tourists happily interacted with them. There were purchases. But here is one of the main messages for me. When I got to the place, I met the captain of the British cruise line. And he said whenever they take their team to a country, one of the things they look forward to is to recruit people who work on cruise ships from those countries because they believe in diversity. And it was their desire to recruit people from Liberia. We were not prepared for that. So one of the things he said to me, and that we need a whole discussion around, is that we have to find a way either to establish an institution or empower existing institutions to do so that we train people how to work on cruise ship. And once we train those people and they are qualified, then whenever their admissions are made possible, they're coming back in 1 year. That's what he said. And his humble appeal to me is that we take those actions so that by the next time they come back after 1 year, they should be able to have some folks recruited from our country to work on cruise ship. And as a sector ministry responsible for tourism, we're going to take that policy action with the central government to work towards that area because it will be an opportunity for job creation in our country. The Africa Soft Tour that is supposed to happen 1 month, exactly 1 month from now, will be another tourist attraction area. But the organizers are having some challenges, and I assure them I'm going to talk about it here. As a ministry, as a government, we give approbation to what they want to do. They have an authorization letter signed by me, the Minister of Youth and Sports, and the Minister of Foreign Affairs, which basically indicate that the government is in the know of what they're doing. We approve of it, and we call on all of our people and those doing business here to support that humble cause. The feedback we've gotten from them is that not much is being done to support them. There'll be one option. If they don't have what it takes to host a competition exactly 1 month from now, they will be constrained to cancel. That's not what we want for our country, because this is the first ever in the history of the country that will have a surfing competition here. So I want to take this opportunity to appeal to investors, the business community, even public officials ourselves can contribute towards making that entire intervention a success. So this is my humble appeal to beginning with also working government, and our private sector people, business people, investors. Let's rally around the organizers of the surfing competition so that exactly 1 month from now we can do that in Grand Cape. Because it's international. The athletes who are supposed to participate are coming from different countries. And it will give some attention to Liberia. It will be the focus of both tourists coming here, and it will be good for our country. So that's my humble appeal. But as it stands, until such action is taken, it is scheduled to take place as was announced. But let's do a little bit more to rally around them, because what they're doing is for the good of our country. The president was in Bombay over the weekend, and he had a retreat with Senate representatives who are from our tendency. And the only reason why I'm talking about it is that we're seeing some newspaper publication that the president is now opting for green Liberia over a united Liberia. This is governance. Even in America, everywhere in the world, where political parties exist, and those parties have representation in parliament or in Congress or in the legislature. When did it become a problem or a crime that a sitting president who has lawmakers from his party can say, let's sit and talk about how we support each other? In America, they do it. Republicans can meet. Democrats do that. In the British Parliament, in other places, they do so. That's the reason why the president did not do so in secret. That's why it was a public event. It is the right of the president to call lawmakers from his tendency, to acquaint them with his own plans and enjoin upon them for their support. And when we make everything political, that even if a president meets his own lawmaker, then that means the president won't turn the country, the world as green Liberia. So what happens to the other branches of government? Don't we have a legislature that is one of the most important branches of the government being led by an opposition? Don't we have an independent judiciary? We got a government of 3 branches. So a president meeting lawmakers from his political party cannot be interpreted as an attempt to make the country a green, quote unquote, green Liberia. Some of our friends in the media should stop doing these things. Let's focus on very substantive issues and not trying to police everything. Even as that is happening, we know that in the first quarter of the year, it has been said that revenue collection improved, and not only that, it improved, but it overperformed in the term of additional 18 million. So what was projected to have been raised during the first quarter of this current fiscal year overperformed in a term of additional 18 million. And I was just talking to the minister before coming in. I said, so, okay, we see the 18 million, which is supposed to be the excess. But in our first quarter, what it is?